Good morning, everyone. Okay, so we're going to continue work on this action RPG tutorial right now. So yeah, let me quickly turn off the music and let's start.
Or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Ben, and welcome to part 16 for our Godot Action RPG series. In this video, we're going to be doing some of the bat's artificial intelligence.
By the way, let me quickly tell you what I have done. So I was working yesterday a little bit, and as you can see, we now have enemies. So the enemies are flying around, not flying around, they don't have AI yet, but you can kill them. And I think they should, yeah, and they have this death effect. So yeah, that's probably all. So yeah, I didn't work much, but yeah, as you can see. Oh, okay. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. There is no animation. The Okay, and it was it was grass. Yeah, it was into grass. Why it doesn't have effect like we have grass effect scene. Effect grass effect scene. We have a script and we have animate and yeah, we have like. Okay, what about enemy death? Oh wow, well why it's plain default here? Animate should be animate. Animate here, yeah, and the script is the same. So it should work. Effect animate. The problem I did not sure like okay, grass. Okay, it's grass GT script, so it's not the effect. Where are you? Grass GT script. 13. There is no line on 13. There is nothing on 13. What the hell? Okay, yeah. I don't know what it was. But yeah, anyway, seems like it was. Maybe I just placed a breakpoint. But I don't remember I did that. But yeah, anyway. I mean, it looks like it's working. No errors after all. After this stuff. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, let's just continue.
And it won't be probably all of it because it's a little bit involved to do all of the artificial intelligence for the bat, but we will be doing a good chunk of it, and we'll also be adding in a little hit effect. So let's start with the hit effect. So come into create a new scene, do other node, and do animated sprite. We'll call this hit effect. And then we'll come into our effects over here and drag up the effects.gd, and we'll find our new sprite frames and call this animate. And then click this and we'll do hit effect.png. This is obviously 1 and 2. And then select all frames, add 2 frames. And how fast is this? Probably want this at 15 as well. I'm thinking maybe 10. Yeah, let's try for 10. Turn off playing, make sure it's on frame 0. And then we'll save. And we'll call this hit effect. That looks good. We'll come into our hurtbox, hurtbox.tscn. We'll give this a script now and create. So we'll preload our hit effect here.
Wait a second. Where the hell overlap hitbox? But we have script for that. Yeah, we have. Okay, hurt box. Oh.
Const hit effect dot preload or equals preload.
And then we just
We'll have to come into
do it like
grab hit
this.
effect dot tscn, drag it in here, and we're looking good. Gets rid of both of the quotations there. Okay, and then we'll connect our signal. So hurtbox, come up, connect on area entered. And so we can have the hurtbox determine what it wants to do when it gets hit by a hitbox, right? And we'll just say var effect equals hit effect dot instance get tree, well, var main equals get tree dot current scene. We can't use the parent here dot current scene because the parent is going to be freeing itself in this case. We could use the parent's parent, but that starts to get really messy. I don't recommend doing that. Main dot add child effect dot global position equals global position minus vector 2 0 8. So basically we're giving it a little bit of an offset here. Theoretically, we could probably do that here in the hit effect, actually. We come into our offset. We do, I guess it depends. It depends on if you want your hit effect to always have an offset or not. I think let's do it though. Let's do -8 here for the offset and the hit effect. And then we'll give this a try. And then in our hurtbox script right here, we won't actually, oops, don't delete that whole thing. Just get rid of this little offset bit here. We'll save and run the game, see if we can get this to work. So we should hit an enemy and see a hit effect. There we go.
Yeah, it looks not bad. I like that FX style. Yeah, that's nice. And I like my frame rate is like much better than it's in tutorial. So I think in tutorial they use like 15 frames per second, but I usually use 8 everywhere. So it just feels nicer, I guess.
It's hard to tell if it's too slow or too fast. I can't really tell. This is personal preference a little bit. I might make it faster. I think I like it. I think I like the hit effect animation to be a little bit faster than that. Either way, there is one problem that comes with this, which is that now our grass has a hit effect, which we do not want.
I didn't test it, actually.
So how do we solve that problem? Well, the solution that I came up with, and there may be better ones, but you know, since we're trying to reuse the hitbox, hurtbox stuff, I came up with a kind of a one-off case where there may be situations where you want a hitbox or hurtbox that doesn't create this hit effect, right? And so in that case, we can do export bool var show hit, and we'll set this equal to true. So by default, we'll show the hit effect. And then we just say if show hit, then select all of this tab, we will show the hit effect. But, you know, this could be set to false, and that's what we'll do in our grass. We'll come into our grass, we'll click on our hurt box, and we'll uncheck show hit. And so since we export it as a bool, we get a little checkbox here in the editor. So that makes it really easy. So now we get our pretty clean solution, I think, to our one-off case of not wanting the hit effect on everything we hit, not wanting it on the grass, because we already have. I mean, the leaves chopping is enough of an effect, I think, there. And there we go. So we've done our hit effect. Let's start with the bat, come back into our bat now, and we're going to set up our state machine. So we'll use an enum again, and we'll say idle, wander, chase. Our bat's going to have 3 main states. Idle, where it just kind of stands there, wander, where it moves around in different directions, and chase, where it's actually chasing after our player. And we'll want to set up our variable here for our state. So we'll say var state. And we'll start off in the idle state like this. And then inside of our physics process, we need to set up our match statement for our state. Match state. So this is going to be a little bit of review, which is good, honestly. We'll have idle here, pass, wander, pass, and chase, pass. Okay. Let's actually start in the chase state, like this. So inside of our idle state, we want to actually have our friction, and this will be friction for our velocity, not friction for our knockback. So we'll come into, do we have a velocity? We don't have a velocity yet. So we'll want to set up that variable as well. So come up here, we'll say var velocity equals vector 2.0. And then inside of our idle, we want to apply our friction. And this will be done with velocity equals velocity dot move toward vector 2.0. And we need to have some sort of a friction amount. What was our player's friction? 500. Our bat's going to have less here. Oh, I guess we did 200 times delta up here. So maybe we'll do something similar for this, 200 times delta. We'll see. Once again, we may end up changing that value, creating a export variable for it. In fact, let's create some export variables up here. First, we'll do acceleration. We'll set it equal to 300. And we'll do max speed. Set it equal to 50. Once again, the reason there's a discrepancy there, oh, we need var in front of these, is because of the fact that delta gets applied automatically with our move and slide. And then we'll do export var friction. We'll set this equal to 200 for now. And then we can just use friction in these scenarios so we can easily update it when we're testing these things. Okay, so we've got our friction set up. Now we need to have, inside of our idle state, we're going to have some sort of function here for looking for the player. And the way that I set this up is actually, we'll create a new function here called seek player. And for now, we'll just pass. So we want to give our bat some sort of a player detection zone, a zone in which if the player walks into that zone, the bat can detect it. Okay? But we want this player detection zone to be reusable because we're going to have, well, I mean, in this series, we won't be making multiple enemies probably, but anybody following with this series is going to want to add their own enemies later. And when they go add their own enemies, they'll want to reuse this player detection zone. So we're going to actually create a new scene here, and we'll come into area 2D, and we can set up our player detection zone. We'll call this player detection, and that's it. We'll just call it player detection, actually. Well, I don't know. Let's call it zone. Now this, we'll save this inside of enemies. It needs a collision shape. So let's add a new collision shape. And for the sake of this video, we're going to be doing and some of you actually mentioned that you can export a collision shape into here and have it be made a tool, and then set the shape for your collision manually when you give it to anything. That way you can make it any shape you want. That's actually really clever, and I think that's good on you. And I might end up adding that later in this series. I don't know for sure, because it's actually a pretty good way to do it. But to keep things simple, I don't want to go into tool mode and stuff like that yet. And so we're going to do it this way still for now. So we'll just save it like this with our collision shape. We'll add a new script here. And inside of the script for our player detection zone right here, we'll want to set a player, and we'll set this equal to null for now. Yeah, I think that should be good.
Interesting. Why null?
But we will use a set get. Set get. Well, we don't actually need a set get.
Come on,
we'll just leave it like this for now. We'll say we'll have what functions are we going to have here? Well, since we're using a collision detection shape here, I think we need to use a physics process. Oh, we don't even need to worry about that one yet. So here's what we'll do. We'll come into our player detection zone, and we'll do an area entered and connect here. And this will be, or actually not an area entered. We want to do a body entered. So disconnect
Jesus
that
Christ.
and do body entered. And then come in and connect body exited right here. So we're going to use these signals for when the player enters this detection zone and when the player exits this detection zone. So we can say right here, inside of here, in the entered, we can say player equals body. And then right here in the exited, we could say player equals null. So player will be set to null whenever the player is outside of our detection zone, but when they're inside of it, player will be set to the body that we collided with, which in this case is going to be the player. And how do we make sure that this is always the player? Well, we can use our collision layers. We come into here, we can say that this isn't on any particular collision layer, but it's looking towards the player's collision layer. We want to make sure that it's looking towards the collision layer of our player. Now we come into our bat, we can instance.
Wait a minute, I don't get it. Like, you just turned off layer, but the mask is on the player. Just turn off layer.
The collision layer of our player.
Okay.
Now we come into our bat, we can instance our player detection zone on the bat. We can do editable children, and inside of here, we can give it a new circle shape, and we can make this shape as big as we want for however big we want our detection zone to be for the player. You can come into visibility here. I think you could lower the alpha if you want it to be slightly not quite so drastic. You could lower the alpha in there like that too. So this is our player detection zone for now. And we can come into our bat, and inside of our seek player, we can check to see if the player, well, let's see, we need one more function actually inside of our player detection zone. We're going to create a function here called can see player. And we'll just say return player does not equal null. Okay? So here, this will return either true or false based on whether or not the player is inside of our detection zone. If player equals null, then this will return false. Wait, did I get this mixed up here? Let's see. If the logic here is a little bit weird, and I'm confused on it right now. So if player is equal to null, then this would return
False.
We can't see the player. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the player does not equal null, then it returns true and we can see the player. There we go. Had to think through it a little bit there. A little bit slow at the moment. But if we come into here now in our seek player, we can just say, we can come into here, our seek player, we can say, oh, we need to get access to our player detection zone too. So come up here, do onReady var player detection zone equals player detection zone. Where'd my autocomplete go? Clear. It must be broken because we don't have anything down here. Then we'll say if player detection zone dot can see player like this, then we can, and once again, this is calling down, signaling up, right? So then we can say state equals chase. We can chase the player. We'll just say print. Well, we don't want to print here. We can, this will just change to the chase state. So then we can, inside of our idle here, we can say seek player and just call that function. Okay. Now we want to have some stuff inside of the chase state. So here's what we'll do. We'll say var player equals player detection zone dot player, right? Oops. Player. And then we can say if player does not equal null.
Why
We can
do you need this
we can
check?
move towards the player.
You already
And
have.
for now we'll just say move. Let's see. Velocity equals move toward. And we want to move towards or from. We want to, let's see. Velocity dot move toward, like that. And we want to move from our current, our 2 vector is going to be our max, is going to be our max speed. Max speed. Well, our 2 vector is going to be, it's going to be the direction to the player. So in order to get the direction to the player, or the vector between us and the player, we would say player.global position minus global position. So this is going to be our let's call it direction for now. And then we'll normalize this. Dot normalized. I'm going to have to explain this here in a bit. So then the point that we want to move to is direction times max speed. And the amount that we want to move towards that is going to be acceleration times delta. Okay. And then we need to call move. Well, then actually outside of any particular state here, I think, if I remember properly, we want to call move and slide. Yep. So we'll say velocity equals move and slide. And we'll say, wait, are we already calling move? Oh, we are calling move and slide up here with a knockback. So we'll do velocity. Okay. Velocity equals unexpected assignment statement.
Yeah, because move it from
Move
match.
and slide velocity. Where is my unexpected assignment?
You've put velocity in match.
Issue to be having.
Remove one tab. Dude.
Oh, it's because we didn't go back far enough. We need to come clear back here to line up with the match case here. Okay. Let's see if this actually works. Okay, it does.
Holy cow.
Wow,
it works.
That went rather smoothly, all things considered. And you can see only the bat
Ah,
that was
no, no, no.
actually, it's just buzzing around our head now. Only the bat that was actually within the collision zone. So if we turn on our visible collision shapes and run the game here, we can see that only the bat, wow, it's still really transparent, so it's kind of hard to see. We may have gone a little bit too transparent with our alpha there. Okay.
It's fine.
Now if we run it again, okay, yeah, you can see the player detection zones for our bats. So we could come over here and trigger that bat. Now it's chasing us too. Come down here, trigger that bat. Now they're all chasing after us. And of course, once we exit their player detection zone, well, that was interesting. We managed to exit them before. And they all line up, so there are bugs with this that we're going to be addressing in future videos, but this is a pretty good start. So then we also want our bat to actually face the direction that it's moving in. And I'm going to use its velocity for that direction. So we can just say down here, var, did we get access to our animated sprite? We haven't yet, so we'll just say onReady var sprite equals animated sprite. Okay. And then we can say, where were we? Sprite.flip h equals velocity dot x is less than 0. And we probably only want to do this actually inside of our chase state for now. Like this. We'll see if that works. And now you can see that the bat properly faces us while chasing us. And we can kill them too if they get too close. Stay back. Stay back. Now it should, because it's still in the chase state, what happens here is, like, for example, if the bat's moving down here and then we move up past it and get out of its range, it's hard to show here. It looks like it's chasing us still, but it's actually not chasing us. What it's doing is actually moving in the same direction that it used to be moving in. We're never actually switching back to our idle state here. And so we can do that inside of our chase state by just saying else, if the player is null, then state equals idle. And this is a kind of a quick fix for what we're doing here. But this should fix it so that the player, so that the bat, if it comes outside of our range, let's get rid of these two real quick. If the bat comes outside of our range, it should stop. If we go outside of the detection range. You can see that now. And the reason it stops is because we switch back to the idle state, and then we get our friction being applied right here again, because we don't actually apply friction in the chase state. We only apply it right here in the idle state. So let's talk about this section right here. I want to go over this real quick before I end the video. I think this is a good spot to stop though. But so when we're getting this right here, how does this math work, right? Let's talk about the vector math here, because it is a little bit weird. So we've got our grid, okay? And our bat is right here, and our player is right here. So when we do the, oops, wrong window there. When we do the player position minus our global position, what we're saying is take the x and y coordinate of our player right here and subtract that from the x and y coordinate
Good morning.
of our bat right here. Okay, so x and y of the bat. So let's say, for example, that our player is at position 5 in the x and 4 in the y.
I see it become pretty usual to raid me in the morning. Hello guys, hello, welcome to my stream. That's a blast from my. Yeah, yeah. I actually finishing it. Oh, someone follow. Let me check. Who is it? The Yagic. Hello. Thank you for subscription. Oh no, no subscription. Thank you for follow. For me it's still like, I don't know. It's unusual that subscription on Twitch it's actually with money. It's like YouTube channel, you know. And yeah, another one who followed me is Erend. Sorry, I probably pronounce it like really, really bad, but yeah, sorry. Okay, then I should follow you, yeah. uh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so as I can see, I add in this bat AI right now. Let me show you real quick what is working here. So bats are now chasing me. They don't do it. They don't hit me or anything like that, but they just chasing me all the time. Oh yeah. But now I can run away from one of them. Like this. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, like this. Mhm. Hi, Vantosier. Hi. Uh,
Y, okay? And let's say, for the sake of example, that our bat is 2 in the X and 1 in the Y. Okay? So what does that look like? Well, we're going to get 5 minus 2, okay? Because our player minus that, so we'll get 3. And then we'll get 4 minus 1, which will also be 3. And you can see that the distance between the bat and the player is 3 in the X, 1, 2, 3, and 3 in the Y, 1, 2, 3, okay? So that's a little bit sloppy there, but you get the idea. So let's move at a would then get us with a between our player and our bat. And then we normalize that difference so that it's a length of 1. And then we multiply that difference by our max speed. I'm not sure that direction's the right variable name for this. That's not really a good variable name for this because it's not like a direction of like 80, like a 90, 270, 360 or whatever. It's not like an angle. So I'm not sure that direction's the best one, but we'll leave it at that for now. This is a pretty good start to our BATS AI. I've got some more stuff that we can do to improve on it, and we'll be.
okay. You'll get it right. Yeah, yeah, you'll get it. I mean, that's just like 2 lines of code, explain everything. Yeah, just do it this way and it will work. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I, but yeah, maybe it will be. Maybe after like the release of Godot 4, a lot of people will start doing like a lot of stuff for the 3D. So yeah, we'll see. Or you can do something with about 3D. That would be also nice.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to part 17 for our Godot Action RPG series. In this video, we're going to be
That was just a joke.
implementing some basic player stats, and we're going to be adding a hitbox to our enemies. And there's a problem that comes up with that, so we're going to be addressing that problem as well and adding some extra functionality to our enemies. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is create our player stats. And I'm
Eurox, do you have a YouTube channel? I mean, I know you're streaming, but if you have a YouTube channel. Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm going to be using an auto load.
And I think it's like, oh, it's not almost the end, but it's almost there. It's 17 episode. Uh, so what player stats and enemy attack? Okay, let's do this one.
Singleton
It
for
should be
this.
fun.
So there are better ways to do this actually.
What's it? Yeah,
This isn't a terrible way to do it. And so, as a beginner, it's a pretty easy way to pick up and start using. But as you learn more and more about Godot, I would recommend looking into some alternative methods for handling your player's stats. So, that's just a little disclaimer. Let's start by creating a new scene right here. And actually, what we're going to do is come up to scene and do new inherited scene. Now, what this will allow us to do is create a scene that inherits everything from a different scene. And we're going to inherited scene right here. And actually, what we're going to do is come up to scene and do new inherited scene. Now, what this will allow us to do is create a scene that inherits everything from a different scene. And we're going to do that from our stats scene here. So now we have the same script and the same properties here set up in the editor. So we're going to rename this though, player stats. And if we create an inherited scene like this, what it allows us to do, we'll save this inside of player here. What it allows us to do is have our stats script attached here. So whenever we update our stats, we can update information about the player's stats as well.
Yeah, I think Hitao's like have a good idea. So you can do like 2 minute videos. I even saw like 3 minutes yesterday about the Godot on the YouTube. Like don't need to do 20 minutes. Yeah, you can just like small ones. Just about some little stuff. Like I don't know. You can even like make a two version. I mean, if it's really small, you can cut some stuff from it, and make like shorts. It would also should work. Well, yeah, I agree that 20 minutes video is just you just like recording your screen and doing some stuff. 2 minutes it should be like really short and a lot of good information, and you should fit it into minutes. That's hard. That's really hard.
So we'll start by closing. Well, we'll want to set our player's health, and I guess 4 is actually a pretty good starting point for the health. So we'll just close out of this, and then we'll go to project settings, and go to auto load. And right here we can select our player stats. Select our player settings and go to auto load. And right here we can select our player stats.
Okay.
And this creates a global singleton that can be accessed anywhere in code.
Okay.
And that's why I say there are better ways to do this, and you could look into some of those better ways as you learn more and more about Godot. But once again, this isn't a terrible way to do it. So let's save right here, and we'll come back to our player scene. And we want to give our player
oh, yeah. So yeah, suggestion to do, yeah, just list of feature.
access to those stats. And so we'll come in here and we'll say Let's just do. We don't have to do since it's a global, you can actually just access it anywhere, like player stats, like this. But if you're just accessing your singletons everywhere, I think that's a little bit not a great way to do it. I think it's a little better to create your own little stats variable and get access this way. So that way you know the player is accessing this global auto load singleton. Then we can come into our ready function here, and we can connect the signal that is in our stats. So we can say stats.connect, and we want to connect to no health, and we'll connect to ourself. And for now, we'll just do Q free. And we need this to be in quotes, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so remember how this works. We get the object that has the signal we're connecting to, the object that has the function, and the function that we're connecting to. And we're just connecting to our own queue-free function right here. And now we need to attach a hurtbox to our player. So let's instance a new hurtbox. And this hurtbox, we're going to need to do editable children, and we're going to need to give it a collision shape. I'm going to do a capsule shape, and we'll shrink this down a bit like this. I'm going to hold Alt so I can select it and move this up. And this will be our player's hurtbox. So we're going to be pretty generous on getting hit for this player. Kind of right here, just on the body, the head and ears and cape and stuff. We won't count that. Then we click on our hurtbox again, and we come over here to our collision, and we want to put it on a specific layer, and we want to put it on the player hurtbox layer, and save. Okay, so we've created the player's hurtbox, but now we need to connect to the area entered signal. So
What's going through the latest changes and picking up single on trimming super tiny. The mountain is like, how would you use a variable rate shading useful in your super? Yeah, it's a nice idea. Can I highlight it somehow? Yeah, like this. Game the Weirdo, just want to shout out, it is so great you're constantly pushing through this. Well, yeah, thank you, but it was so hard. It was so hard today just to start doing it again, and yeah, I mean, it's just a little left to finish this stuff, because I actually wanted to start moving my prototype level from Unity to here just to check how it will be working, and I think it should be working. But yeah, I hope I will finish maybe like in few days this week, and by the end of the week I will probably start working on the my prototype here. Oh yeah, it should be cool. Oh, really cool.
that we can actually do something when our player gets hurt. So let's connect this.
To be fair, you get into the hard part. Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's always this way. When you just start working on the prototype or on some game, you actually make more at the beginning, because like at the very beginning you have nothing. Then you create a player, and it's already moving, like it's already doing some stuff. It's already pretty exciting, and yeah, then you add in the level, then you add in the stuff, and it's all become real, like it's really working, and you can play with it. It doesn't have a lot of like, it doesn't cover, the logic doesn't cover all like corner cases. You can just fall off the sprite somewhere and stuff, but it's working. And then become like less fun part, because you need to polish it. You need to polish it a lot, like cover some add some collisions on all your sprites, or to remove somewhere, like make the running feels better, and yeah, it's all hard. And like in the morning today, I was just like thinking, wow, why should I continue? I can already start working on my stuff. Like, I know already what I need to know. Yeah, like, but it's not. Yeah, yeah, something like this. Hydrosophy.
This signal to our player, and inside.
Okay, what? Hardbox area. Is it another
Player
one?
Gets hurt. So let's connect this signal to our player, and inside of here we'll say stats.health minus equals 1. And we'll save and run the game. We should, but our enemies don't have a hurt box attached to them still. So let's do that.
Come on, wait a second. On hurt box area entered. Okay, just remove.
And we'll save and run the game. We should, but our enemies don't have a hurt box attached to them still. So let's do that. Let's open up our bat. Come into our bat here, our bat scene. We'll come into 2D. We'll instance a new hitbox on our bats. Overlap hitbox. We'll do editable children. Give it a collision shape here. Just gonna do, I actually want a circle. Let's clear this. Do a little teeny circle. And I'm gonna hold Alt once again so I can select the one that we're doing and drag this up and stick it right on our bat right here. Really small collision shape. Again, trying for the hitbox. Trying to be generous here towards the player. Although I did accidentally not center it. Make it centered. There we go. Okay. And we'll come into our collision. And we want to set the mask for this. This is what layer the collision is looking to, right? And we want to look to the player hurt box right here. And we'll save. Now this should work now. And you can see the bat, it hits us 4 times.
And the player just died. No, it doesn't work for me though. Yeah, looks like I messed up somewhere. And I probably know where. Just let's get back to the player. Okay, we added the hard
we'll shrink this down a bit like this. I'm gonna hold Alt so I can select it and move this up. And this will be our players.
Yeah, the Yagic. So I started actually learning Godot like a week ago. So I think a week ago. You can check my like videos on my Twitch. That's when I started learning Godot. It was the first video I started going through this official tutorial. How it's called? It's like fuck. Let me find it. Godot engine. I think it's not here. Yeah. Anyway, like week ago. Yag. Okay. Yag. Nice to meet you, Yag. Yeah, dodge the creeps. Yeah. So I started from that tutorial, and then some guys from the Iraq's channel because he was raiding me at that time also, and yeah, they sent me this tutorial with action RPG from Heartbeast, and it was really cool. So I finished that one and started this one, and yeah, here I am.
Overlap, hit, instant scene, hitbox on our edit on the server. Trying to enter it. Okay, what to good? And you can see the bat, it hits us 4 times and we die. So that is working properly. However, there is a problem with this.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's
They
a
are
little
both
hard
awesome.
to see unless you come over into like a corner or something. But if I come into a corner, so the bat hurt box enters the player, right? And damages us, but then it never actually leaves. And so then the hurt box, the signal that we're using, the area entered signal, doesn't fire again because that signal only fires when the area gets entered, not when there's an area inside of it. And obviously that's a little bit of an optimization thing so that we don't have to fire that signal every single collision. You know, every single frame a collision is occurring. It only happens when the hurt box enters us. So what's the solution to that? I don't know what the best solution to that is, actually. So what I decided to go with was adding some modifications to our hurt box scene here. And one of the benefits of having this reusable hurt box scene is that now if we make changes to this, it will be on all hurt boxes that we've instanced, right? So we can come into our hurt box scene here, and we're going to add some new functionality to it.
Okay.
And this functionality is going to be an invincibility. So our hurt boxes will be able to have an invincibility property that we can set, okay? The other thing that we actually want to change is instead of doing this, I decided I didn't like this method right here. Remember how we had this show hit and then we created the hitbox? I have a different way I want to do this now. So we're going to actually get rid of this export variable. Get rid of this. Select all this plus Shift Tab. And then we'll change this right here, this function, to create hit effect, like this. And now we need to disconnect that signal. We can come back into node, click on this, and do disconnect, like that. Okay? So don't forget to disconnect the signal. Okay. This way, we can just call this function whenever we want to actually create a hit effect, and that's actually better for us anyways. So then we're going to create our variable here for our invincibility. So we'll say var invincible equals false. Now this is going to have a setter. So we'll do set get, set invincible. Okay, and we'll create our function set invincible value. So we'll set it to something either true or false. Invincible equals value, and then we'll say if. So then we want to be able to signal out, signal up to our player or enemy whenever the invincibility starts and when the invincibility ends. So we're going to create these signals.
Jesus Christ, it's so hard.
Invincibility started, and then signal invincibility. Man, that's a hard word to type. Ended.
Yeah.
Ended. Hopefully I spelled it right. Invincibility started, invincibility ended, and then we can say if invincible equals true, emit signal, invincibility started, else emit signal, invincibility ended. Okay, so Now we can emit a signal based on whether our invincibility has
Jesus.
started or
Yeah,
ended. And we want
really
to
long
attach
signals.
this to some sort of a duration, like a time, right? An amount of time. So we're going to create, on our hurtbox, we're going to create a timer. And this timer is going to have a timeout that connects to the hurtbox. And so when this timer goes off, we're just going to say,
Yeah, I agree. Like long names is just it looks terrible. Yeah.
self dot invincible equals false. Okay. Now we have to call self here because the setter will only get activated if you call self here. So inside, and the reason that that's set up that way, at least I assume, is so that when you set it in here, it doesn't create recursion and call the setter every single time that you set invincible. So you can, inside of an object like this or inside of a node, you can choose whether or not you want it to call the setter based on whether or not you put self before it. So here it's not going to, here it is going to call the setter. Okay? And that way we know that these signals are being emitted. So we're going to create a function here for setting our, not for setting, but for starting our invincibility. So we'll create a function called start invincibility. I think, okay. And we'll give it a duration. And we'll just say, we'll get access to our timer up here. On ready var timer equals timer. And we'll just say timer dot start duration. And we'll set our invincibility. So set or self dot invincible equals true. So let's talk over this logic here real quick. So we set our we start our invincibility with this function. It sets.
There is no more like set get in 3.5 or like 4? Yeah, monk hard. I don't think so. I think like one scene or maybe like one script per object, because like you have, when you choose the hard box, there is a script node, so you can choose one of them, I think. Yeah, EuroX confirmed that's one script per node.
That's invincible to true, which then starts our timer at this duration, and then once the timer's done, it sets our invincibility back to false. And admittedly, we don't, now that I think about it, we don't actually need a setter and a getter because this is all happening inside of the hurtbox. So we could actually just do that here. Put this inside of our invincibility, start invincibility function, and then this inside of our end timer here. You could do that too. This allows you to set the invincibility in other places and have it still trigger these signals, which you may want. So, you know, either way works. But we'll just leave it this way for now. So whenever we set the invincibility, whenever we start the invincibility, it starts a timer, and then after that timer is done, we set it back to false. And we're signaling out to other areas when these things happen. So now this gives our character an invincibility, but it doesn't which solves the problem of the player getting damaged really quickly over a short amount of time if the enemy comes in and out really quickly. However, it doesn't actually solve the problem that we have with the overlap where the on entered. Remember how we're using on entered?
By the way, chat, is it a good idea to actually maybe not stick with 3.4.4 version, but maybe I should switch to like 4, like to the alpha version? I mean, I still wouldn't do any production ready. It still will be prototyping and stuff. 3.5, why not 4? I mean, it's in alpha, and I heard they like froze the feature, so they not adding anything new. Yeah, I mean, it's alpha. Alpha is never ready. Okay, then I will update to the 3.5.
So the solution that I came up for that was a little property inside of our area 2D called monitoring and monitorable. So since this is a hurt box, we're going to be using monitorable. So we're going to these basically correspond with layer and mask. So if monitoring is on, it will check the mask. If monitorable is on, it will check the layer. So since we're putting these hurt boxes on a layer, we're going to access monitorable. At least that's my understanding of how they work. But if we turn off monitorable and then turn it back on, that will actually re-trigger the area entered or on our hitbox.
Okay, the 4 is an alpha, yes, and it is entering feature freeze, yes, but it's best to learn 3.x first, at least until the first stable for version comes out, so you can get a head start. Yeah, okay, thank you, Yak. Yeah, that's more logical than just trying to learn alpha when it will be crashing all the time. So yeah, thank you.
So it will re-trigger it because it's like we're coming back, we're turning off for a second, and then we enter it again. And so we're able to use that with our invincibility here. So come into your hurt box, and we're going to use these signals that we created. So invincibility started, we'll connect that to our hurt box, and then we'll also connect invincibility ended to the hurt box like this.
Oh. Okay.
And we can set that property. So we'll just say monitorable equals false. And we'll come into here and say monitorable equals true. So when our invincibility starts, it turns off us being able to be monitored. And then once our invincibility ends, then it turns it back on, so then we can be monitored. So we're basically deactivating our hurt box while we're invincible and then reactivating it. However, there's a problem with this, and I want to show you what it is. So let's come over here. We'll come over to, well, this is fine. And you can see that it's not working. In fact,
what did that?
Save here. That was not what I was expecting. So let's come into here.
Yeah.
Get hit. And, oh, of course, silly me. So we actually need to call start invincibility here. So come into our player. And we can say on area entered right here. We need to get access to our player's hurt box. So come up here, say on ready var hurt box equals hurt box. There we go. And then when we get damaged right here on hurt box entered, we can say hurt box dot
What? On her. Okay.
start
Yeah, that's
invincibility, and we'll do 0.5, so half a second of invincibility, and we'll do hurt box dot
Or T, 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 and T here as well. Okay, and what?
create
Start invincibility. Dot 0.5. Okay.
hit effect. So we'll do both those things.
Gotta start coding for tonight. See you, everyone. Yeah, see you, Hitaos. Have a nice coding.
We'll create a hit effect and we'll start our invincibility. We'll need to do that in our bat as well. So on hurtbox entered right here, we need to get access to the hurtbox up here. So on ready var hurtbox equals hurtbox. The reason I create this variable up here instead of just using this all the time is in case you end up changing the name right here, you don't have to change it everywhere in your code. You can just change it once up here. So then we can say hurtbox dot create hit effect. And our bats don't need an invincibility, although we will probably end up giving them a short invincibility. So now when we come up here, you can see we get damaged, but now we're getting we get damaged once and then it never works again, which is what it was doing before. And we get this error message, okay? And it says set monitorable, function blocked during in-out signal, use set deferred. So what this means, basically, my understanding here, is that this signal right here, where we're setting our invincibility, is actually being fired during the physics process. And during the physics process, you're not allowed to change monitorable. It's blocked, basically. See, it says it's blocked during in-out signal. That means during this time, it's because, you know, if you were to set that in the middle of a physics process, it could mess up the calculations and ruin the processing. And so you're not allowed to set it then. So it wants us to use set deferred. Now, set deferred is just a function that will allow us to set a variable, but have it do it at the end of the game loop, basically. So it'll kind of wait till the end, wait till everything's been processed, and then set it later. And that's actually what we want here. So inside of our invincibility started, we'll say set deferred, and then you get to tell it which property, which is monitorable, and then you get to tell it what to set it to, which is false. We want to set it to false. And then we can just save right here. And this signal right here should be fine because this is actually on our timer, right? The invincibility ending happens on our timer. So we should be fine just leaving that one there. We'll see if that actually works, but we can come over here. We get hit, 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 hit again. We don't get any error messages, and our player has a certain amount of invincibility attached to them now. So, and it works. And obviously setting monitorable the way that we did works for the edge case where we're in the corner and the enemy's hurt box never leaves. We're still getting damage now. So let's turn off visible collision shapes. It's getting a little crazy with the different collision shapes we have set up. And now we should be able to attack these bats, be damaged by them.
I'm dying too fast.
And actually be killed by the bats too.
No, 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 no.
And there we go. And that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you have any comments or suggestions, be sure to leave them down in the...
I think that's it for today. So, yeah, as you raid me, now we need to choose our next target for raid as well. So let me quickly back the swing. Yeah, so let's go to the game development. Yeah, raids continue. Raids continue. So I'm usually choose the game development streamers just to make sure we hit the right direction. Maybe there is someone with a Godot. Godot? Someone? Oh, just me? Alright. Alright. Yeah, it was also nice to meet you. Yeah, I usually stream like every morning, almost every morning. So, yeah. Not like too much, not few hours. I still need to get back to my work, but yeah. Uh let's maybe check this guy with like 115 followers. What is he doing? He doing some. No. That's totally fine, Arax. That's. I mean, the good discussion is a good.
Yep. Let's see. Let's continue with the next piece, shall we?
I mean, it's not Godot,
Move
but
this away.
anyway, the guy would be happy. Gordox 94. Okay, let me. Are you ready for raid, guys? Are you ready? Let's go. Mm. Okay, and I finishing my stream. See ya.